Hey there, good morning. I'm Connie Fuchsa with Foot Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. How's everybody doing this morning? Thank you so much for your time and tuning in. I realize that during the week, the mornings are just very valuable. A lot of things going on and a lot of things we're trying to take care of, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. If you're tuning in live, please check in and say hi. It helps me figure out what kinds of things to talk about based on who actually is paying attention and who wants some more information. So it helps me guide those messages. Likewise, if you're tuning in on the replay, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you checking it out, and I also would really appreciate knowing that you've taken the time to watch the video. So let me know that you're on, because it does, as I said, helps me formulate messages. So I make sure that I give you information that you want to know about, because one of my passions is really making sure that the information that you get is information that will help you with whatever you're going to be doing with real estate. So sometimes we talk about actual real estate process, buying a home, we talk about mortgages, we talk about the closing, all of these different areas we're always trying to get you good information about. So this morning, what I wanted to talk about is what happens if you can't make your mortgage payment. You know, a lot of times people will contact me and say, I'm really in a situation, I don't know what to do. Who should I reach out to? What happens if I don't make the payment? What happens next? What do I do? And so I wanted to talk about that for a few minutes, because although we hope that never happens, you know, life happens, and sometimes you get in a bind and you may be in a situation where you might not be able to make a payment 1 month, or something may come up. And so knowing what those options are and potential opportunities is really important. And also understanding what can happen when you're not making those payments. What happens next? What's the lender's part in all of this? So let's talk about that for a minute. So technically, you know, earlier this week we talked about 3 documents that were very important parts of your closing, the 3 most important documents that you're going to sign, both to buy your piece of property and also to get the mortgage to be able to afford to buy that piece of property. One of those documents is called a deed of trust. And as I said last week, the deed of trust is the mortgage document that the lender requires you sign that actually puts your property in trust with that mortgage company, so that if you don't make the payments, they can actually get the home ready and sell it to try to recuperate that loan that they've loaned you. So why is that? Why are those processes so important? Well, they want to make sure they're loaning you so much money that they want to make sure that they can try to recuperate that amount if for some reason you're not able to make those payments. So some of that process happens like this. So when you sign that document, that deed of trust, you are actually giving your property in trust to the lender for as long as they own that, or as long as you owe that mortgage. Now, when that you sign that mortgage, one of the things that you'll see in that mortgage is, or that deed of trust, is a default area, which talks about if you don't make the payments, what the process is. So technically, if you miss, if you are late on your mortgage, they can actually start the foreclosure process. Now, I can tell you that no lender ever is going to do that, because it's a very expensive and long process for them to do that. So they're not going to start doing that until you are at least a month behind, but probably a little bit more. But technically, if you are more than 15 days late, they can start the foreclosure process, which means that they can start doing inspections on your home, making sure that things are prepared in your home so that they can actually sell that home at a foreclosure sale and recuperate that loan. Hey there, Karen, how are you? I hope things are going well. I haven't seen you in a while, and I know you have a lot going on with all those new homes that they're working on. So thanks so much for your business and for checking in this morning. Hey, Michelle, how are you feeling? I hope things are going well for you. So if you can't make that payment and the lender has to start thinking about starting a foreclosure process, then the way that that is actually going to happen is they are going to come in and they're going to start taking care of making sure that property is ready for sale, which means they're going to ask you to leave the property, and you're going to have to move out, and then they're going to come in and clean things and prepare things. They're going to do a search on the property to make sure there's nothing else recorded against that property that they need to take care of before they can actually sell it. They actually do search a title just like we would when anyone's going to purchase a piece of property, although the lender does it in advance to make sure that they've got all their ducks in a row, so when they actually go to sell it, that it's ready for that sale, that nothing holds that up. Now, with saying this, I actually was reading a forum yesterday about a lady who was buying a property at a foreclosure sale. And so on the flip side of you being in that property and not making the payments, if you're not making the payments, they're going to ask you to leave and remove you if you don't leave, and then remove all of your items, and then they're going to prepare it for a sale. Now, typically they'll do this title search to make sure that their property is ready to sell. But I was actually reading a forum the other day about a couple who was buying a property at foreclosure. And so let's talk about the other side of this. So, taking place for his sausage biscuits. That's a friend of mine who has a English bulldog, and she takes him to have a McDonald's periodically, so that's hilarious. Well, you and Blaze have fun, Michelle. Hey, Karen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So if you're buying a property, hey, John, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. So if let's say you're not on the side where you are not able to make the mortgage payments, let's say you're on the side where you're looking to buy a piece of property that's gone through a foreclosure. Sometimes, even though the lender may do, and they don't always, but may do a title search before they actually put that property up for sale, there may be some things, typically when someone is not able to make their mortgage payments, there may be other things that they haven't been able to afford to pay as well, and they may become liens against that property. So the lender is, when they sell it at a foreclosure sale, as the seller, they're responsible for taking care of making sure all those things are cleared up. But sometimes they're not cleared up before the new purchaser would purchase that or make an offer to purchase that property. And so again, the company doing the closing has to go through the process of getting these things resolved. And there may be things that are farther back in the chain of title that weren't properly taken care of, that someone else missed. There may be things that are things that have happened during the ownership of the person that was foreclosed when that property was foreclosed on, and that they weren't making their payments. Typically that happens quite frequently. And so the title company, the responsibility is to make sure when you're purchasing a property, whatever it is, whether it's out of foreclosure or short sale or whatever that situation is, to make sure that that ownership is clear, so that when you take title to that property, that your home ownership is protected and that you won't have any problems. And sometimes those processes take a little while. If there was a mortgage prior to the one that is actually being foreclosed on that was not properly released, maybe that mortgage company is out of business. You know, it's a process that can take a little while. So I hear, and when I was reading this particular forum, I was looking up some information about questions people had about closing companies and processes and things like that. And one of the common threads, and in this particular comment, was, why is the title company holding up my closing? Well, in this particular case, a lot of times in the foreclosure situation, you run into a lot of things that happen in that chain of title that you as the purchaser definitely want to make sure that they're taken care of, because ultimately this is your ownership and you want to make sure that no one else can come back and have any claim against that ownership. And sometimes these things take a little bit longer to get resolved, and the title company is not intentionally holding up your closing. They are working through the process to get those things resolved so that your ownership is protected. So just wanted to sort of throw that out there, because sometimes people don't understand that our role is not only coordinating getting everything together for you, but is also making sure that the ownership is protected. And that really includes resolving any things that may show up in that ownership chain when we do that title search. So when you go through the foreclosure process, back on the flip side, you know, one thing you need to remember is if you can't make your mortgage payments, after going through all of this time, this recession, and so many people having homes that were valued a lot more than they could sell them for, or they owed a lot more than they could sell them for, excuse me. So they were originally valued a lot higher than what they're valued at now. A lot of people got in situations where they couldn't afford to make those payments, or they needed to move and they couldn't sell the home. So that's how a lot of this foreclosure that's in the market right now actually happened. One thing I want you to remind you is, if you're in a situation where you lost your job, or you've come up on a hardship, just because your mortgage says that you have to make those mortgage payments every month or they're going to foreclose on the property, which is actually what happens, don't discount the opportunity to contact your mortgage company and explain to them what's going on, because they have so many things in their pipeline. They are a lot more understanding than maybe they were 20 years ago when a house could sell, turn over pretty easily for them, and they could come in and take care of it. The last thing that mortgage company wants is to take in that property and have to prepare it for a foreclosure sale. That is really expensive for them. It takes a long time. They go through a long time without mortgage payments, and they have to spend a lot of money to get back less than they more than likely less than what they're owed. So in most cases, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but if you're in a situation where you can't make your mortgage payments, contact that lender and explain to them what's going on. They may work out with you some type of a scenario where you can make less than your mortgage payment for a little while and they extend the term of the loan, or they add some back onto the loan. Not super appealing options, but at the end of the day, if you're in a situation where you've lost your job and you're an honest, hardworking person that has made all of your payments up until then, they're probably going to work with you a little bit. It may be a process. You may have to go through some things, some modifications may happen, but it's an option. So pick up the phone, call that mortgage company and explain to them what's going on, and see if there is an option for you to make some kind of adjustment. Because at the end of the day, you bought that house because you love that house and it's your dream home. You have it decorated. You have all of your furniture in all the right places. You are, comfortable because you can wake up in the home that you have all the things in it that you need. It's a roof over your family's head. Do not discount how important those things are to you and how you can impress upon the lender that you're willing to help figure out how you can make those payments. There's a lot of options out there. So first, if you get in that position where that becomes uncomfortable, make sure you pick up the phone and you're calling somebody and you're asking for some assistance, whatever that may be, at the mortgage company level, or call your realtor, call the company that did your closing, call somebody that's in that profession that can actually give you some thoughts. Maybe the person who did your mortgage initially. They're maybe not the mortgage company who's holding your mortgage now, but they probably have some information or some direction that maybe can help you. Certainly we have a lot of experience with having these conversations. As I've said to you guys before, I know a lot about real estate because I've been in this industry for a really long time. I don't know all the answers to all the questions that you have, but I know how to get you to some of those right areas. So reach out and let me know if there's some kind of question in that area that we can help you with. And if you're on the purchasing side of it, understand that those homes, just like they may have some cosmetic things that need to be repaired before you actually purchase it, or once you purchase it, you're buying it at a little bit of a distressed price because you have to do some of those things. There's going to be some things that you're probably going to have to deal with through the process before you can actually purchase it as well, because there may be some issues with the title, and the title company is not intentionally holding you up. They want to make sure that everything's taken care of so your ownership is protected. So there you go. Hopefully that gave you a little information this morning on default. That's the technical term for that. We have a little bit of information on our website. Some of the other graphics we've been doing this week are about some of these terms we've been talking about. So the one that we did yesterday is on default, so that'll explain a little bit more for you about how some of those things work. One thing I want to tell you about, we've talked throughout the beginning of this year. I've asked a lot of people what their word for 2017 is, not what their goals are, but I want to say focus in on that word. What is that one thing you're going to do this year that you have not done before, or you haven't done well before? Hey, Sherry Mona, thanks for tuning in. Hi, Bob. How are you today? Hope you guys are doing great. Thanks so much for your time and for checking in with me. I appreciate it. So with the one word, what's your word for 2017? I told you earlier, and I keep reminding you, my word is execute. And the way that I'm doing that is I have lots of different irons in the fire, and I want you guys to see all the things that are going on. So please, keep your eyes out, keep your ears out, because once a month we have something coming out. Foot Title Group is putting out all kinds of new things for you this year, because it is my passion to provide you information and get you all the information you need to make good choices and to be prepared for your home closing, because it should be fun, it should be easy, and you should understand what's going on. So with that, my execute for the first thing for this 2017 was to launch our new website. It was really important to me to get our website to a point where it was really easy for you to find what you needed and understand what's available for you. So our new website launched on December 31st. And it has separate tabs for the buyer, for the seller, for the realtors and lenders. There's also a closing cost calculator on there that you can calculate all kinds of things about a closing. If you're looking at a house, you want to find out some more information, you can log in there and you can set that information up. You do have to log in because it allows you to save the information so you can go back and make adjustments to it. But there is all kinds of resources on there. So if you're a buyer, go to the resources tab. There is home buying guides, home selling guides. There is a planning your move checklist. There is what are the steps with buying real estate. There is a sample documents book, so you can look at some of the documents before closing and get the information you need to understand what's going to happen at the closing. So there's all kinds of resources on there for you. There's all kinds of links to places that could give you more information. And as always, if there's something that's not on there that you think would be valuable to you, please let me know, because that's really important to me to get you information that you need. There is a guide for homeowners associations. We are working on, in Maryland, the front foot benefit guide information as well. We have a couple new things coming. So execute was for me in January to get our new website launched. So go check it out and keep your eyes out, because in February, wow, that there's something new that we have coming up in February that I'm really excited about. And we are getting ready to put out by the end of this week that we are going to have another customer webinar in February on the 15th at 7 p.m. So keep your eyes out for that. It's going to be another interactive webinar where we talk about the 5 most common questions that come up about home closings. And so we're going to be talking about that February 15th at 7 p.m. So put that on your calendar. You should get a notification through social media and on email by the end of the week. And if you're not getting our emails, please go on our website and fill out the contact form, because that'll give us the information so we can get really good resources to you as well as new things come out. So hopefully you guys got some great information today. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm Connie Fuchsa with Foot Title Group, where we protect your home ownership, and you have the right to choose who does your home closing. So please do your research and choose wisely. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.